Alex Boyé, singer, actor, entertainer, thank you so much for being part of Three Questions today.
It's an honor to be here. I was studying up all the people that have been on this show for Three Questions, and I was just blown away. So I'm like honored. Don't know what I'm doing here, but well, thank you.
We're delighted that you're here.
Thank you.
Describe for us the niche that you have carved out musically for where you are right now.
Right now it's pop music with an African twist. That's been my niche, and I've been doing it for probably around 6 years. And it's just been amazing. It's been an amazing ride.
Why African? Well, of course, yeah. It's obvious, you know, why. But what led you to do this professionally that way?
Yeah, it's funny because to most people it's not obvious because I've got this weird English accent. Then all of a sudden I'm singing like, you know, in African and stuff like that. My mom and dad are from Nigeria. So I was born in England, and then I moved to Nigeria for a few years. My mom and dad separated. My dad stayed in Nigeria. I moved to England with my mom. So, but for so many years, I've done all styles of music. I've done pop, jazz, punk, emo, you name it, heavy metal. I've tried it all. And, but it wasn't until probably about, about 6 years ago, 5, 6 years ago, when I got a call from the piano guys, and they asked me if I would sing a song with them, and it was a cover of a Coldplay song, and they asked me to do it in Swahili. I didn't know how to speak Swahili. I'm from England. What do I know, you know? So I started learning some Swahili. I turned up at the studio, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to call my mom. And I asked her, I said, Mom, can you give me some? She speaks Yoruba, which is a West African dialect, and that's what we speak at home. And so I said, can you help me with some words? She said, sure, you know? And then, I figured that, Steve Sharp Nelson and John Schmidt wouldn't know the difference between Swahili and Yoruba. So I started doing all the different languages. But the craziest thing is it felt so natural to me. When I went in the studio and I started recording, I'd never done anything like that before. It was so natural. And then that's when I called out my mom, and I told her, I said, look, this song is getting huge and everything and this and that. And she said, you stupid boy, I told you for years and years, I've been telling you to put this African influence in your music, and I guess, moral of the story is listen to your mom. But ever since, it's just been an incredible ride, and it's been awesome.
I don't think anybody else is doing what you're doing to pop music right now.
And that was the beauty of it, because I remember just thinking, I need to do something that's that can be popular, but not many people are doing. And that's very, very hard to do in this industry. Everybody has done everything. Yeah. And so, and sometimes it's more about taking something that's familiar and something else is familiar and put two things together that are unfamiliar. And that's kind of what I'm doing.
While you were living in England, in London, you joined the LDS Church as a teenager.
Yeah.
What led you to that church?
I was going through hell at the time. Life was awful. It was terrible. I was homeless. I was broke. I had no mother or father around. I had pretty much not many role models other than the ones I had at boarding school, where I went through foster care system. A couple of times I went to an all-black foster care, mom and dad foster mom. Then I went to an all-white foster mom, and it was really weird because I went to the all-white foster parents, and I got introduced to Phil Collins and Elton John and all this music. And then I got transferred to an all-black foster parents. Then I got introduced to Bob Marley and Earth, Wind and Fire. It was musically the two places I went. All I remembered is there was music played all day. Every day, from morning till we went to bed. That's all I remember really about those experiences.
So what led you to become a member of the LDS Church? I was really, really sad. I was a troubled kid, and I was always looking for more. I always felt that it was really crazy because I felt that I was a very special person, but there was nothing to indicate that that's what I was, but just from something inside. And so I would daydream a lot. I remember one time I was eating food out of the trash, and it was the age of 16. I was broke, hungry, and homeless. And I looked up at the Royal Albert Hall, and I had this vision or this dream that one day my name would be on lights on the Royal Albert Hall. And this is while I'm sticking my hand in the trash and eating food because I'm hungry. So I knew that there was going to be something more. I used to work in McDonald's. I took a job in McDonald's, and while I was there was a guy who was like me, spoke like me, but he was like 6'5",
black guy that talked like the Queen, you know, and really weird combination. But I used to get into a lot of fights at McDonald's. And every time we got into a fight, there was 6 store managers. He was one of them. His name, Aaron Clark Wills. If you were caught fighting on his shift, he will send you home with no pay. All the other managers were fine. So one day I approached him and I said, Aaron, why do you keep, sending people home? You're really unpopular. Nobody really likes you. All the other store managers, they'd let people fight. And he said to me, well, I believe that there are better ways of communicating one with another. And I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? And then it started getting more spiritual, and I'm like, you're one of them weird religious people, right? He says, well, I guess you could say that, maybe, perhaps, you know. I said, so what religion are you? And he says, well, guess. So I'm going through all these religions. I'm like, well, you Presbyterian, Baptist, what are you, Church of England? He's like, no. I said, I'm done.
What else is there?
Yeah, what else? I went through the whole encyclopedia. Yeah. And he says, well, you missed out one. He says, I'm a member, and so proudly, his McDonald's, just his McDonald's time, he says, I am a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, otherwise known as Mormons. I was like, you know, it could have been a commercial, you know. Had no idea who they were, but I became his target. And just every single time he'd come and approach me, asked me to come to events and stuff like that, kept saying no. And then one day, you know, I came in just real down, real sad, real just dejected. And he just simply said to me, you need to find a space where you can find joy. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And he says, well, let me help you. And then I think it was like 3 weeks later, I was heading home at the time. And as I was heading up to my doorstep, there was these 2 sister missionaries standing at the front door asking if Alex was around. And I was like, yeah, sure, this is me. And within 3 weeks, you know, I became a member of the church. I used to have these really bad nightmares about dying, about death, and they were all very, very sad and very scary. And so I didn't want to talk to anyone about it. I talked to the sister missionaries about it, and they started pointing me to scriptures. And they talked a lot about how whatever you focus on starts to magnify, you know. And they said to me, what do you focus on? I said, I focus on everything that's negative, really, I guess you could say. They said, well, we're here to switch that up. You know, if you start focusing on the opposite of that, I guarantee you your life will be different. And they said, and on top of that, when it comes to the author of positivity, that's Jesus Christ. And when you follow him and follow his teachings, it puts you in a better space for you to find joy. And really, what other option did I have at the time? Nobody ever told me anything like that. It was pretty amazing. And so I joined the church 3 weeks after that, and my life changed.
Was it difficult being a black Latter-day Saint in England at that time?
Oh, everyone says it's like 3 strikes out. You know, I mean, you're black already, that's already 1 strike. And then you're Mormon, you know, that's already a strike. And then you're English, you know. So, yeah, so the thing is, it was tough. But it was the kind of toughness that I didn't have a problem with compared to the toughness I was going through before that. So, because a lot of people are like, that's crazy, how can you... You know, you're Mormon, you're black, and this and that. And this. I'm like, listen, if I told you where I was from before, I am grateful to have those 3 titles. Yeah. Because the titles I had before, I don't even want to talk about it. So.
Let's come here to Utah. Now, your experience as a black Latter-day Saint in Utah, how does that differ from the experience of what you may perceive as a white Mormon in Utah?
Yeah.
How are those 2 experiences different here?
Culture. A lot of the culture, sometimes I always mistook the culture for doctrine. So sometimes I got myself in trouble. And sometimes, you know, I got frustrated about things, you know what I mean? And lately, you know, for the last few years, I just started realizing that, you know what, I don't want to focus on the culture. I want to focus on the doctrine of who I am. And that's brought me so much more peace. Because sometimes it's easy sometimes to mix the 2 together. And, you know, like, for example, you know, you can be a Mormon and your next door neighbors are not members of the church. And sometimes you'll be told, you know, don't hang out with those guys. Your kids will be told, don't hang out with those guys. That's like the worst thing, you know, ever. And, you know, but after a while, I started believing that. I started you know, here I'm at home, you know, sleeping on the streets of England. So I'm hanging out with people that I don't even want to explain to you. but I'm talking about transgenders, transients, everything. And I didn't even, they were all the same to me. Then after a while, I got so engulfed in the culture that I started to see people as being different. But I'm like, but the gospel of Jesus Christ, we're supposed to be no more strangers and foreigners. And so, you know, that was just my little thing that, you know, I mean, really, if you think that, I mean, that's like 3% of, you know, of the negative side of me, you know what I mean? Everything else is just, you know, I mean, God sent me here for a reason, and I know that. And, you know, there are many, many reasons that are starting to become manifest. And, of course, I married a Utah girl and have 5 beautiful kids. We're sealed in the temple, in Salt Lake Temple. And, you know, I cannot imagine being in a better place. They say that your 5 closest people, you become like the 5 closest people to you. Well, it's interesting because, you know, I talked to my mom the other day, and one of the 5 people that I was really, really close to back at home, he's on drugs, he's in jail, you know, he has, you know, children with 7 different mothers. Yeah. And so I'm thinking, where could I have been?
You were in the Mormon Tabernacle choir, and then you left. Tell me about that experience. Tell me about the choir.
8 years of being in the choir was something, it was almost like it was a foundation for me that I needed. It was like this type of cleansing that I couldn't have got anywhere else. I remember the things that I used to look forward to was when I'd just be kind of just having this weary day, and I knew that I would go on that Thursday to go and sing with saints, other saints who had the same beliefs as me, and we would sing for the same purpose about one thing, about Christ and about the Godhead. There is no more, I mean, when you think about therapy, that's the greatest therapy you can ever have.
You've become quite successful on YouTube, and you've joined, there are quite a number of Utahns who are doing the same thing. I'm thinking of the Piano Guys and Lexi Walker and Lindsey Sterling and all those. What is the key to having a YouTube video go viral?
If I knew that, I'd be having one every single day. It's one of the things. I mean, after a while, to me, I just look at what is it that this is my goal when I do these music videos, or like with YouTube anyway, because I have many other goals musically. But my thing is, okay, what type of video could I do that when someone watches it, the first thing they want to do is share it. I want to annoy everyone's newsfeed with my videos. When someone says, oh my gosh, you need to see this, what is it that does? And that's what I'm trying to focus on. Because the more you do that, the more you get yourself out there. So you got to be creative and, you know, find ways to really just, you know, touch people's senses, whether it's, their mind, the heart, you know, or even with comedy, you know, because people, you know, at the end of the day, we want to smile. I think, you know, and it's not just everyone in the whole wide world. We want to smile. And if we can do it for 3 minutes, 10 seconds, however the video is, we've accomplished a purpose. And I love that.
I've noticed that as I've watched your videos, almost every single one without exception, there is this aura of joy that comes from the video.
Thank you.
How do you create that on video?
Will Smith once said that the difference between me is that sometimes people look at a black man and they don't imagine him smiling. And I took that to heart because that's not true. And of course he knows that as well, but that's what you see, that's what is highlighted. Angry black people. And I just wanted to highlight what is already out there. That's my goal, to highlight that. And as I said, you know, to have fun and put smiles on people's faces and to try and help bring the spirit.
What are you doing right now? What's your biggest project right now?
Biggest project? Well, I just got back from Brazil. I shot 8 music videos out there. I performed at the Carnival. And man, Brazil, any Brazilians? Love you guys. Thank you so much. The food is amazing. Had a beautiful time there. I mean, you know, there's a huge, like 80% of like African influences in Brazil, which I had no idea. And of course, you know, so I fit right in. Yeah. And so I recorded 10 songs out there, recorded 8 music videos. Then I performed at the Carnival. And just had an amazing time. So I'm going to be rolling out those videos, you know, probably like, you know, every other month or a couple of weeks. So excited about that.
Where do you see yourself 10 years from now? What will you be doing?
10 years from now, I'll be teaching other people to do what I'm doing. And I'll be also, you know, I'll still be in the entertainment business. That's the beauty of the entertainment business. There's so many facets, so many places you can go, whether it's in acting, movies, whether it's writing books, whether it's speaking, whether it's going on a tour, whether it's, you know, going to schools and colleges and sharing, you know, what's worked for you. So I'll be doing this forever.
Alex Boyé, singer, actor, entertainer. Thank you so much for being part of 3 Questions.
Appreciate it. Get over here, man. Thank you.
All righty.